Shalom. Kahala Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Waha, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles of the great millstone. Peace and blessings to Yahakim, pushing this word in truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. This is Mathia from the GMS Dallas camp. And wanted to go into a quick lesson. All right. Wanted to go into the valley of Hinnom, okay, or Gahanna, and just give a proper understanding of the breakdown of hell. You have the Christians who are thinking that hell is a place where you go and you are sent to, I'm assuming, in the middle of the earth, and you burn forever. All right, but the true understanding of hell, that's what we're going to kind of get into, and where that came from as being a place where you burn. All right, which is all out paganistic ritual. All right. So we're going to go ahead and watch this video. Lord willing, this will be edifying. And go ahead and let it play.
I'm sitting on a ledge that is overlooking what Hebrew is called Gahanna. We've translated that to hell in our English Bibles, but this valley is a valley where at one point there was huge pagan worship festivals.
I want to stop quickly right there. How he said that he just mentioned how it was translated to hell in the English Bible. So he's going to break it down, and we're going to get a few scriptures.
And so on one of these ledges somewhere, we don't know for sure, it could be right here, but we don't know, they would have had a gigantic iron god named Moloch. And this is a pagan god. It's the main pagan god that we read about in the Old Testament. And what they would have done here is they would have had this iron statue of this god sitting up on a ledge, and there would have been a pit underneath him, right in front of him, and he would have had his hands out, and the pagans would come every year around the date on our calendar, December 25th, and they would take their children and they would lay their children in the hands of this god, and underneath the front of this god was a pit with fire in it, and they would burn this fire so hot that the hands of this god would be bright red, and eventually the entire metal statue of this god would become red, and they would take their children, they would hand it to their priests, and the priest would then set the child on this altar, this burning red altar. And there was a big festival, and all the priests, as they set the child on the altar, they would be beating drums and singing and dancing, and they say the reason for that is so that the parents would not hear the cries of their child as it was burning to death on this fiery red altar.
Terrible. And this is our ancestors that did this, okay? This was, to be spiritually technical about it, this was basically us being back in the time, in those times, those spirits. And this was the niggas that was doing. This is what they were doing, okay? They were actually given to Molech, all right? They were giving their children to Molech. And we're going to go get that the incident in the scriptures here. This is Jeremiah. All right, because this is Jeremiah 35, Salaki 32. And I'm going to go on down to 25 here. So let me go up some. Let me go on down. All right, so let's start with verse 32. It says, because of all the evil of the children of Israel and of the children of Judah, which they have done to provoke me to anger, their kings, their princes, their priests, and their prophets, and the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. All right, because we were going off, we were doing some wicked shit, as you know. Excuse my French. You know, we were defiling the holy place. We were doing a lot of wicked shit. All right, verse 33 it says, "And they have turned unto me the back and not the face, though I taught them." So the Lord taught us the ways. All right, in the wilderness. That's why we came up out of Egypt. And we went out in the wilderness, and as soon as, like you say, the Lord removes his presence for a slight second, what do? Go way off. Like you say, we turn our backs to him. When Moses went up to the mountain, what do? We said we needed something to worship. Created a golden calf. All right? Everything goes back to us giving sacrifice to these idols. And this is one of the worst right here when we give sacrifice of our children. And this is so. Let's keep going here. This is back in Jeremiah 32. All right, and this is what he's going into in the video. It says, all right, verse 33. It says, "And they have turned unto me the back and not the face that I taught them, raising up early and teaching them. Yet they have not hearkened to receive instruction." All right, but they set their abominations in the house which is called by my name to defile it, and they build the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire unto Molech, and I have commanded them not, neither came into the mind that they should do this abomination to cause Judah to sin. All right, and this is what he's going into. He's going into how we were sinning. We were going and giving our kids to the priest, our priest, all right, of Israel, all right, Levites, and they were basically giving this to giving our kids to hell, all right, to burning fire. And then he said it was so hot, all right, that it would just be red. This statue where they putting it on, this altar, this wicked idol altar, was just pure red. All right, and as it says here, I'm just on my laptop. It says Hinnom, the Valley of Jerusalem, the overview of the site. It says it was located in the southeast side of Jerusalem. The prevailing winds carried the winds away from the city, dead animals from the temple. All right, and so I guess the wind, they put it on that side for the wind to blow, for the stench won't come into the Holy Land. All right. So I guess they were assuming they wasn't defiling the land, but this is how wicked. And I gotta say we, because this is Israel. All right. At this point, we're just saying Israel was going off. All right. You had some that was against it, but at this point, Israel was doing some wicked shit. All right. Let's keep going here.
And it's interesting because this is really where we get our Christmas holiday from. It's a bright red saint that we set our child in his lap, and we the point of this festival that the pagans did.
Oh, that sounds like Santa Claus. Let's get some real quick. All right. This back in Jeremiah. Hey, because the prophet, like you say, everything was written aforetime is written for our learning. And this is something that was written for our learning. This is Jeremiah 10, all right? And he just went into Christmas, right? Jeremiah 10, all right, first start at verse 1. It says, "Hear ye the word which Yahweh speaketh unto you, O the house of Israel. Thus saith Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and hammer, that it may not move." All right. And don't this sound like a Christmas tree, and our kids come up, fall to their knees and grab presents and basically giving thanks. And what are they? And that's basically giving homage to, giving respect or giving thanks from that what? From that idol. Believe it or not, it's true. You performing their wicked acts. We supposed to be performing the righteous acts. All right, through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, through the law, statute, commandments. All right. It says, verse 5. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must need be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. So don't be dismayed by it. So this is, like I say, the wickedness that the nation of the wickedness that the nation of Israel was going through. All right, this is what we were doing. All right, let's keep going.
Did was they would sacrifice a child to their god Moloch, because what the god would in turn do, they would have a list of their needs and wants for the year, what they thought was prosperity, and as they sacrificed this child, they believed that this god would give them what they needed, would provide for them throughout the year. And so in Christmas, we set our kid on the lap of this God, this fiery red God, and the children have this list of their wants or needs, and we believe that this God gives us what we want or what we need. And so it's interesting that that's where our Christmas comes from, but yet pagan and in the Roman Catholic Church adopted this pagan festival and put the name Christ on it. And so instead of Child Mass, it became Christ Mass.
You see that? So your Messiah, when you're celebrating on the 25th, is what? Going back to pagan worship. You sacrificing your kids to a hellish fire. This is what hell comes from. All right, the valley of Hinnom. All right, and our people are destroyed from a lack of knowledge, as it says in Hosea 4:6. All right. And we read the Old Testament, Matthew 32, going into what? Going into Hinnom. Let's go into Matthew 5. All right. And this is Yahweh Shai speaking. Matthew 5, verse 22. It says, "But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother Raka shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say thou fool shall be in danger of hellfire." Now, is this going into the actual hell? Is this going into the actual hell where you saying in the Christianity, these Christians say you're going to be burning for eternity? Man, that ain't no mercy, you know? That ain't no mercy. If you're going to be burning through in hell for forever, I mean, for what? I mean, damn. All right? It says here, Gahanna. All right, let's go down here. It says it's Strong's G1067 Gahanna. It says hell is the place of the future punishment called Gahanna, or Gehenna of fire. All right. Then we just read from Hinnom, Gahanna. All right, that's the valley, okay? This was originally the valley of Hinnom, as it just says right here, south of Jerusalem, where the filth and the dead animals of the city were cast out and burned, a fit symbol of the wicked and their future destruction. All right, so this is what hellfire was. This, and what did the Edomite just say in the video? It became the Roman Catholic, and they converted it to what? A place you burn forever and ever. It was actually a movie with Jamie Foxx, and damn, I can't. I don't know what the other cat he didn't play on the Kingsman. It was Robin Hood, or called the Hood or Robin, but it was basically Robin Hood. And if you know the story of Robin Hood, he was the cat that played on Kingsman. He was Robin Hood, and Little John was Jamie Foxx. It was a pretty good movie. I would say so myself. But it went into how the Catholic priest, the head priest, the high priest, he was actually talking, and he told him, "Hey, basically at the end of the story he was telling, he was like, the scare the people. Why you think we brought and created hell? So this is they're telling you in their movies. They letting you know we created hell, but they be like, oh man, that's not a real movie. It's science fiction, okay? Oh, well, not science fiction, but it's fictional. So if it's not real, okay, but yet they put it in the movies because he won't worry about it. This is what Esau does. He tries to plague your mind with all type of deceitfulness, so you won't believe certain things you will believe. He really have caused a full amount of confusion. All right, and this is how our people is basically is thrown into hell with by Esau now, because he basically have our people celebrating one thing, thinking it's for the Lord, but yet it's basically celebrating something totally off. And then our people are so indulged in it, and I'm talking about you so-called Black, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are the so-called nation of Israel. You go off, all right. You don't understand. Now, all type of different understandings in the scriptures, all right. But like you say, with him, that's hellfire. You can read about that also in Second Kings, the 23, around the 19th verse. But when you go into the actual chapter prior to that, that's when Josiah, if I'm not mistaken, or right after, before or after Josiah, he actually opened up the book and he realized, I mean, the scrolls, and he realized, damn, the scrolls found, and they were like, man, we've been going off, we bound for destruction. All right, so he started to clean up what? Clean up their act, the Nation of Israel Act. All right, so, but this is can be a state of a condition or what have you. But like you say, it could be a point of the grave. All right, but let's get some accounts here. Let's go to this is go to Jonah. Jonah 1 verse 17. It says, now the Lord had prepared a great fish and swallowed up Jonah. And if you don't know the story about Jonah, Jonah, and they usually say Jonah in the well, but it was a great fish, as it says here. So we just know it was a huge fish. All right. And it says, a great fish to swallow up Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. So Jonah was thrown off the boat because he was told to go to Nineveh and basically prophesy and preach and tell them to change their ways, or the Lord was going to destroy him. And he basically tried to run from his what the Lord had summoned him to do. And what did he do? He went onto a boat. He had some other heathens on there that was actually trying to call into their God, because the Lord caused a great storm to come through, and he told them for the Lord to come to seas now, you got to throw me off. And they threw him off, and a whale swallowed him. Okay? So this is Jonah in distress. All right? And it goes into Jonah being in hell, if I can find it. I think it's in the second verse. It's Jonah 2 and verse 1. It says, then Jonah prayed to the Lord his power out of the fish's belly. We say fishes, the fish belly. And who is the Lord? That is talking about the Most High Yahweh. Okay, that is the power of the nation of the Hebrews at the time. He was a Hebrew. All right. but through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That is the nation of Israel. All right, that what the covenant went through. And Jonah told him in verse 1, chapter 1, that he was a Hebrew. All right, verse 2, it says, and said, I cried by the reason of my affliction unto Yahweh. He heard me out of the belly of hell, cried I, and thou heardest my voice. And this is going into hell. All right, so let's get hell in here. All right. And it says, and basically this is what? Sha'al, all right? And what does that say? Sha'al, the underworld, grave, hell, pit. The underworld, Sha'al, the OT destination for the abode of the dead. Place of no return, okay? Abode of the dead is what? The grave, or a bad situation, all right? Without praise of God, wicked sent for their punishment. They added all type of stuff here, but you gotta, pick the bones out of this. Righteous, not abundant to it, of the place of exile and extreme, the great degradation and sin, and in this case, like you said, he's in hell. All right, belly of hell, cried I. So he was in a hellish situation. All right, he wasn't in the grave, but he felt like he was. All right. All right, so like I say, so when you go into hell, this is not going into the actual hell that we're was taught as we was taught as growing up in the church, right? Because we would have never had Revelations 20 broke down if we would have basically they wouldn't know how to break that down if we was growing up. You would ask your preacher. I grew up in a Baptist church, but no, they wouldn't have just gave you that answer because they don't know. All right, we had to get this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding through men of the Lord has appointed to preach the correct doctrine, to have the faith and the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding has been presiding through them, and has been trickled down. All right, like you say, from our apostles here at Great Millstone. All right, from our elders on down. All right, so this is Revelations 20 and verse. Let's get right to it. It says, verse 14. It says, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. Now, how would they? What they would have said? Well, it's the same thing. Listen, death and hell went into the lake of fire. All right. How is hell going into hell? All right. That second death is going to nuclear destruction. Okay, because that first death was the flood. All right. But the death in hell is going to be no more death and no more destruction. It's going to be a peaceful and it's going to be a righteous place. It's going to be the kingdom of heaven that's going to be brought forth. But the harbinger of death has been appointed to this world, all right, who's going to be overthrown, all right, going into Sirach 10 verse 8, the kingdom will be translated from one kingdom to another. All right. So the hell is going to be brought upon planet Earth, and Esau is going to be the corporate that's going to receive a lot of the hell. But a lot of 2/3 of Israel, and then the heathen nation is going to receive it as well. The elect is going to be delivered. All right. So to get this understanding of hell, all right, you got to get this under. You got to get a proper breakdown. Because they always say, it was a story where they used to say Yahweh went into hell and preached the gospel, but they misconstrued that. All right, where's that at in the scriptures? It's nowhere. This is Acts 2 in verse 31. It says, he seeing this before spake of the resurrection of Mashiach, that his soul was not left in hell, neither his flesh did see corruption. Now you'll see if somebody would speak that, be like, you see? Look at that. He was in hell. No, he was in the grave. All right. And they says neither his flesh see corruption, because what happens when your body, especially after 3 days, what starts to happen? A decay. But the Lord rose up on his third day. Yahushua rose up on the third day. All right, verse 32. This Yahushua has power raised up. Okay, the Most High raised up. Wherefore we all are witnesses. That's what it's going into. It's not going into he was in hell and he started preaching in a fiery place. Okay, it's talking about the graves, man. All right, because it tells you in Ecclesiastes 3 that get it. Ecclesiastes 3 and 21. All right. It says, who knoweth that the spirit of man that goeth upward? All right. So the spirit of man goes upward. And the spirit of the beast that go downward in the earth. All right. But the spirit of man goes upward. All right. So Lord willing, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and put it off there. But Lord willing, this was edifying. I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Waha, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles, the great millstone. Peace and blessings to Yah and pushing his word and truth and sincerity. Shalom.